Got
Um,
it.
how's everybody's week?
It's like the busiest week I've had in the longest time ever. Like I was sitting there trying to I started to get frustrated because I didn't do all 7 days, right? And I was just like, oh man. And then today I realized I've done more in 7 days than I have in weeks prior. I
That's
just didn't
okay.
do like
Yeah.
the workout every single day. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, just trying to give myself grace like there. But yeah, my goal is to do 7 days consecutive of the workouts. But yeah, it's just been a crazy busy week. And then I had like an unexpected camping trip this weekend. So I didn't bring kettlebells out there and I should have, but I thought I was coming home at night and sleeping in my bed, and I did not. I camped out and then did the workout when I got back and kicked my butt. But it's
Awesome.
been a busy week.
That's what I like how you gave yourself grace because realize that you've done more now than in the past. It's not about finishing every single workout, so definitely don't beat yourself up for that. Sharon, how are you doing with the workouts?
It was much better before my brother came to town last week.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I got a lot of walking in, but not many workouts.
Okay, that's cool. When is he leaving so we can get back
He's
to
gone.
normal?
That's Saturday.
Okay, good. I have some funny news. I don't know. Laura will appreciate this for sure. So I started at a new gym this morning just to do part-time classes, and she knows how long I've been working on the single arm push-up. And my new boss, he says to me, so you must have seen my Instagram. He's like, what's up with the one arm push-up? Like, why do you need this so bad? And I told him, well, I tried doing the certification in 2020 and I failed. And now I'm going again for it in April. And I just really need to get this because then I'll have completed all the certifications through Strong First. So it's just like a personal mission. And I tell him it's a one arm push up for women and a one arm, one leg for a man. So he gets down on the floor. Of course, he completes it. So I get down on the floor and I actually did it.
Yay! Yay!
Hey,
And I have not been practicing on the floor. I've been practicing from a bench, thinking I still needed to get myself down to the floor. And I was like, oh my God, I just did it. And it was like anticlimactic because it was just me and him in his gym. And he has no idea like how much I've been working towards this. Because when I was at FFC, like I was always telling people would always ask me, like, did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? And I said, nope. And when I do, I'm going to announce it over the loudspeaker. You know what I mean? So it's always just like, oh my God, I just did this. And so now I have to try to do it again tomorrow and get it on film.
yay. That's
Yeah.
Make sure you
awesome.
go to FFC and announce it on the loudspeaker,
Yeah.
though.
I'm going to have to take a drive out there. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. And I mean, it just goes to show you that it's a constant practice, and eventually it will come. So that goes with everything with this program. Practice. Um, anything else before I get started on the presentation?
So my husband had a question.
Okay.
I was talking to him a lot about zone 2 and 5, and
Yep.
he said, is it out of zone 2 if you do more than the 30 minutes? So, or if you add it all up, like for the week, because I think it was like 150 to 300 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So he was asking me, what if I walk for an hour?
Yeah,
Is that
no, that's still zone 2 because it's about the intensity during
that's what I
the
thought.
session. So it doesn't
Right.
matter. You could do 600 hours of zone 2. That's like probably running or walking a marathon a few days a week.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question though.
I'll tell him.
Okay, I am going to share my screen. Hold on one second. I do have it. Okay. I have not changed the slides from last round, so this is new for Sharon and Amber, so please forgive me if you feel like you've heard this 2 other times, Laura. Okay. Sorry, I got this. Zoom is like in my way. Oops. Zoom is in my way to try to make this full screen. Okay, awesome. So here's zone 2, zone 5. The thing that makes it a category zone 2 or zone 5 is based on what is the energy system that's being used. So I have this picture graphic here because I want to show you that when you do aerobic energy, which is that typical walk, jog, Jane Fonda workout, you're actually using, if you look here on the left side of the picture here, you've got fat and oxygen being used as fuel, and then carbon dioxide going back out into the system, into your blood, which you will then exhale it out. So this is actually called a Krebs cycle. And I show this because when you go into anaerobic, which is the top of the infographic here, this is more like sprinting or ballistic kettlebell exercises. You're actually using muscle glucose, not fat, like in zone 2 training. So you're actually tapping into your muscle glucose and then spitting out lactate into your blood. Again, it's not a big deal, but I just want to show you that that is the difference between zone 2 and zone 5. It's all about what energy system are you tapping into your body. So what is zone 2? Zone 2, known, aerobic steady state. Steady state meaning that you can hold a conversation. So you can walk next to your friend and carry on a conversation and not get winded. And then here's where it's using oxygen to burn fuel to power your muscle. It's endurance training, so it's your base. So if you think about your aerobic system, zone 2 and zone 5 being a pyramid. So the zone 2 is the base of your pyramid. So the wider your base, the better your pyramid, the more stable your pyramid is going to be. Meaning the more you work on that endurance training, the more solid foundation you have for everything after that, or for anything harder. So the higher you get up the pyramid, the harder it is. You're using also a combination of carbs and fat as your main energy source. So the infographic here, carbs is the O2. So carbs are basically just oxygen. But that's just getting a little bit too much into the weeds, but you are using carbs and fat. Okay. No lactate is accumulated. So that's why after a walk, you shouldn't feel sore. And you're working at 65 or 75% of your heart rate max, or a rate of perceived exertion of 4 out of 10. So 1 being laying on the couch and 10 being sprinting down the street for a bus. And the other thing about zone 2 is you can breathe in and out through your nose. So that's super important when you're doing your zone 2 and zone 5, really, that you focus on nasal breathing. And we'll go over why that is later. Okay, so what is zone 5? Zone 5 is anaerobic threshold, meaning anaerobic means without oxygen. So aerobic means with oxygen, anaerobic without. This is your high intensity training, or your peak, the peak of the pyramid. You're using the muscle glycogen, which is carbs. It's just carbs stored in your muscle for your main energy source. And then I should say, in your aerobic training, you're actually tapping into carbs and fat in your bloodstream, and in the muscle, but the fat is circulating in your bloodstream your muscle holds about 90 minutes of glycogen or carbohydrates. And then after that, you start tapping into other sources. So that's not for here though. Okay. So back to zone 5, your lactic acid, that's when you're going to accumulate that muscle soreness. You're at a 95% of a heart rate max or RPE 9 out of 10. And by the way, quick and dirty method to find out what your heart rate max would be is just doing 220 minus your age. This is not the most accurate, but it's how I learned in school how to find your max heart rate if you have not taken like a treadmill test or a anaerobic threshold test. So if you want to calculate, my phone is not letting me in. So 220 minus 50, that's me. So my max heart rate should be 170 or somewhere around there. So if I wanted to find what 95% of my max heart rate is times 0.95, that gets me 161 or 162. So if you're looking at a heart rate monitor, then you know that that's the zone that you're trying to get into. And with zone 5, you are going to be breathless. This is where you cannot talk at all. You can't even say a sentence. You are sucking wind. And here's where I'm always telling people to inhale through your nose and exhale out your mouth, because that will keep you calmer and you'll be able to get more done in your zone 5. If you start inhaling through your mouth or in your mouth, you're going to get into fight or flight, and then you're going to wind up kind of putting yourself into freak out mode. Any questions so far, or thoughts, concerns, anything? No? Okay. So benefits of zone 2. Why do I have zone 2 as such high importance on the program? And it's not because of calorie burning. It is super easy to overeat the calories that we burn when we're walking. If we walk for about 45 minutes, we're burning about 100 to 115 calories, maybe if we're lucky. And we all know that that's basically an apple. So cardio zone 2 training is not efficient for losing weight. That's why they say that's why the recommendations are like 150 minutes of zone 2 training a week is the bare minimum, just to kind of get those 5,000 to 7,000 steps a day. Upwards of 300, that's still not enough to lose weight. And there are studies on the internet, you can see that it's not recommended for weight loss. And unfortunately, I think the media is taking this and running with it, because when I was doing a little bit more research for today, I would come across these studies saying that it's not efficient for losing weight, and then it would be paired with some kind of pharmaceutical weight loss drug. So I feel a little bit frustrated that people are sort of like giving up. You know what I mean? They're like, well, I'm not going to be able to lose weight through cardio, so I might as well just take this pill and give up. And I'm not saying that I'm not stressing that, because the reason why I have zone 2 on here is mostly for the cardiovascular benefits that we get. And we all lived through COVID. We need to have this bulletproof heart and lung system so that when something does happen to us, God forbid, we are healthy and can withstand it. So big benefits for cardiovascular. And then the other big reason I have so much zone 2 in the program is for mental health. And we'll go over that a little bit later. So with zone 2, you actually increase the amount of stroke volume per heartbeat. So that's actually how much blood does your heart take up and then spit out to the rest of your body. So that's what gives you an increased cardiovascular health. The other thing that it does is increases the oxygen in your blood. So we've talked, or I will be talking more about mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouse, the energy system in every single cell in your body, not just muscles, but every cell has a mitochondria. It's the energy that produces, or it's the cell that produces the energy for each cell, so it will live. But for muscle, it helps power our muscles. So the more cardiovascular, or the more zone 2 training we do, the more our blood is able to transport the oxygen, and then the better your muscle is able to uptake that oxygen. Okay. Then we have increased capillary density in our muscles. So that's what helps bring more oxygen to the blood. And then we have the ability to increase ability to burn fat as fuel. So your muscle glycogen, those carbs in your muscle, are actually conserved. And we're using more of the fat that's circulating through in our blood. Okay, so benefits of zone 5: increased speed and power. You have an increased lactic acid tolerance in your muscles. So hopefully the more you practice your swings, the less you'll feel the soreness the next day, because your body has the increased ability to get it out of your system. And then you have improved economy and efficiency. So if you think about walking, I always use walking as the example here. If you speed walk, you actually will improve your walking efficiency because you put more power into it. So a lot of times, and I notice this in myself too, if I'm kind of walking super slow, my feet might be turned out, kind of like that duck walk. If you actually really focus on walking fast, you have this power that actually pushes you to keep your feet pointed forward. So you get this improved economy of walking. Same thing with jogging. If you want to improve your jog, then add some sprinting into it, and you will improve your jogging economy and efficiency. Any questions so far?
No, no.
Okay. Well, fascinating information. Okay, so there are actually 3 other zones that I want to talk about. So we talk about zone 2 so much, but zone 1 is just basically your everyday activity. So it's 55 to 65% of your max heart rate. Super easy. You're using fat as your main fuel source. It's sort of like easy yoga mobility day. Grocery shopping, cleaning, just our everyday activity that we also want to increase more of. Zone 3 is actually one step above zone 2, and it's very easy sometimes to accidentally train in zone 3 when you should be training in zone 2. You'll know that you're in zone 3 when you're just starting to feel like you can't breathe in and out of your nose. So you do want to make sure that you're making your zone 2 intentionally zone 2. You don't want to do like zone 2 and zone 3 intervals, because you're kind of taking away from the zone 2 benefits. They actually do call zone 3 like this dead man zone. It's sort of like, I don't want to call it a waste or anything, but even athletes, like professional athletes or like endurance marathon athletes, they actually train a lot in zone 2 also, and try to stay out of zone 3, because you wind up kind of burning yourself out too much. So the more you kind of make your easy and your hard, the better off you are. And you're not going to kind of mingle those two. Does that make sense? Because then your zone, you want to make sure your zone 5 is your zone 5, your zone 2 is your zone 3, and you're not kind of mixing it. And I know I'm guilty of that, doing zone 2 work, but it's actually probably a little bit too hard. And so I'm not really taking advantage of that easy endurance training. And then you have zone 4, which is just below zone 5. You know you're in zone 4 when you can only say 2 to 3 words. That's pretty much the key to knowing when you're about to get into zone 5. You can only say 2 to 3 words. It's called your anaerobic threshold. So if you've ever done a treadmill test at the doctor or at the gym, that's actually taking you into your zone 4. And then zone 5, you know, as this is where all the magic happens. Okay, so zone 4, again, that's your VO2 max. You may have heard that. Your VO2 max is your amount of oxygen your body can utilize during exercise. So this means that your body, through your breath, is able to power your muscles and remove the lactic acid and any waste products that are coming into your bloodstream. So this is actually, I'm talking about zone 4 versus zone 5. So the difference between zone 4 is that you're strictly working on that transition, I would say. So your zone 4 is your transition from kind of zone 2, zone 3 into zone 5, into your all out max. So if you work your zone 4 training, it's sort of like sprinting for more than a minute, whereas zone 5, this is where we're just doing kettlebell swings and ballistic kettlebell exercises, or like plyometrics. So it's just boom, super fast and done. So 10 swings, that's it. That's your zone 5. You only need to touch zone 5 for a short period of time. Then you come back down, try to catch your breath back again, and then you hit zone 5 again. So we're actually just bypassing zone 4 here. If we were doing more endurance training, we would want to train in zone 4, but we're not. We're only strictly trying to work that ballistic kettlebell. And Nancy, this goes back to your question as to why do we do 10 swings and not 5? And that's because we're working that zone 5. We're trying to get to that zone 5. We're trying to touch it, kiss it, and then back off, and then catch your breath again, and then go back up to zone 5, because we're not able to stay in zone 5 for more than 40-second all out kettlebell swing, right?
So how do you know though, between the swings or the 10 kettlebell stops, how do you know which zone you're in?
Good question. You don't, so when I program those power swings, I'm not necessarily thinking of that as zone 5. I'm not really thinking of it as any zone. I'm more doing it as a introduction to your power, so that when you step up to the dumbbell or the kettlebells to do deadlifts, you've recreated that power in your muscle. So it's not necessarily meant to be zone 5. It's the EMOMs, the conditioning exercises at the end of the workout. Those are where I'm trying to get you into zone 5. So this is where I would say, if you had more time in your week in training, or if we were doing more endurance training, which we're not, we're just trying to work on simple strength, we would do like zone 4 intervals where you are just getting up to breathless and then trying to increase your endurance there. So that's where like the Peloton comes into play, or any kind of spin activity where you're going for longer duration. You would want to work in your zone 4 and not necessarily your zone 5, because your zone 5 is going to burn you out. Does that make sense? Yep. Cool. Okay. So why breath matters. So if you've seen me in person, you know that I'm always talking about trying to inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. And the reason for that is to keep your zone 2 in zone 2. So you could pretty much trick your body into thinking it's doing zone 3. If you started, you're going for a walk and you start inhaling and exhaling out your mouth and you kind of get your body into an amped up state, your heart rate's going to jump up, your blood flow is going to start pumping, you're going to get excited, and that will actually trick your body into thinking you're in zone 3, zone 5. You could physically bring your heart rate up by just your breath. So the reason why I'm always trying to stress on inhaling through your nose is because that keeps your body in that state of rest and digest, where you're not going into freak out mode and you're keeping your heart rate at a lower level so that you stay in that zone 2 and you are just focusing. Your body is just pulling out the fat for the muscle energy. Does that make sense? So the same thing with zone 5 work. I want you to focus on trying to breathe in your nose as much as possible, exhaling out your mouth so that you stay as calm as possible. If you were to step up to the kettlebell and start breathing in through your mouth, you're not going to be able to get as much, and you're going to burn yourself out physically, and you're going to dehydrate yourself too, because that's one of the things that happens when you breathe in through your mouth. You actually dehydrate yourself. When you inhale through your nose, the systems that are happening inside your body actually hydrate or keep the air hydrated as it enters your lungs, so that you are filling your air with humid, or you're filling your lungs with humid air and not necessarily dry air. So think about breathing in the desert versus breathing in the Chicago spring weather, humid weather, whatever, fall weather. So that's what makes the difference there. The other thing is, this is why we need to have some carbs in our diet. We need to fuel our exercise with carbs. It's not, we need the muscle glycogen stores in your muscle by eating healthy carbs, meaning as the least processed food you can, fruits, vegetables, the least kind of processed bread, I would say, depending on what you can tolerate, and like sweet potatoes, so like root vegetables, those kind of things are perfect fuel for muscle glycogen. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. So, and then the other thing that happens when your breathing intensifies, that's when, and this is whether you're breathing, if you can keep breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, your breathing is still going to go up. But that just means that your aerobic energy system, that one in the beginning where it's the Krebs cycle and it's pulling the fat from your blood and pulling the oxygen from your blood, that is still able to keep up with the demand of the exercise. As soon as your breath gets out of control, then you bypass that aerobic system and you go up to the lactic acid system, and you're using a whole different energy substrate then to fuel your workout. And we want to burn as much fat as possible, right? So we can go on for a longer amount of time. So that's the thing. We have more fat supply that can fuel our workout than we do muscle glycogen. So we want to keep that muscle glycogen stored and in reserve for as long as possible, and just go right into our fat. Okay, so practical training advice. Your zone 2, again, you want at least 150 minutes per week at least. So that equates to like 30 minutes a day. And that will come out to about 7,000 steps per day. That's the bare minimum recommendation. And I know I'm guilty of not getting that. I'm sure I don't have 7,000 steps today. In fact, if you want, I'll tell you how many steps I have so you can be horrified at me. I have 4,800 steps. So I didn't go for a walk today. And I should, because it's sunny out right now. So if your goal is weight loss, you really do need to hit that 300 minutes or plus a week. So that's upwards of an hour a day, because seven times 60 is 420. So that is an hour. That's more than an hour a day. So that would be good, but who has an hour to walk every day? Zone 2 teaches your body to efficiently burn fat. So that's why you want to do it as much as possible. Zone 2 is not a license to eat everything. So you can't out train a bad diet, unfortunately. Zone 2, this is the biggest reason why I put it in the program so much. It just is mental health. So for the simple fact that if you go for a walk, you feel better, you are more creative. If you're trying to solve a problem, and you're sitting there like banging your head against the wall, if you go for a walk, you are more likely to have an epiphany and solve that problem. I do find that, like, I'll go for a walk and I try to not listen to anything. I do sometimes listen, but I just try to go out and just listen to my thoughts and just think about what I need to do and where I need to be right now, just to kind of get away, because I know there's so much stimuli all the time. So it's the other thing I'll do is like listen to podcasts for this group, because I want to keep you guys in the know on the latest things. So I'll use my walks to find podcasts. Supposedly it helps with sleep. Does anybody want to attest to that? I don't know. I did notice we went for a walk Saturday night, I think it was. Yeah, Saturday night we walked to downtown Downers Grove out here. We had ice cream, and now it's dark at 7:30. So I did sleep better on Saturday night, and I don't know if it's because we took a late night walk, but we'll see. Okay. And then just like our muscles, our brain benefits from zone 2. Again, that goes back to that mental health, but we get improved blood supply and improved mitochondria in our brain. So it's not just, it's not woo-woo science. It's actually been proven that we improve our blood vessels to our brain with zone 2. And then we tap into that parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. Your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. So that's our, 90% of our day when we're stressed out. Where if we are stressed out 90% of our day, we are in that fight or flight. So the more you can tap into that rest and digest, the more emotional resilience you'll have, the more immunity you'll have. So hopefully you will not succumb to that cold first thing in the winter with all that parasympathetic work under your belt. And then to zone 5, luckily we only need a few minutes a week. We don't need 150 minutes of zone 5. That would be pretty intolerable. But that is also why, like, a lot of people from Orange Theory, or like high intensity interval people who are constantly working out super hard, that is also why at some point they will plateau and their body will revolt and either stop losing weight or actually start gaining weight, because they've put themselves into too much zone 5. Too much fight or flight actually will make you plateau, and it will keep you from losing weight. And this is why, because you just are too much in that being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, and your body's going to hold on to its fat stores to revolt. Zone 5 goes back to building our fast twitch muscle fiber mitochondria. It's that cell powerhouse, and we want that. So remember, we lose fast twitch fibers as we age. So we need that zone 5 to feed our mitochondria in our zone or our fast twitch fibers. If we don't feed the powerhouse, we will lose those muscle fibers, and we don't want that. The other thing about zone 5 is we talk about zone 2 burning fat, but we kind of forget that zone 5 will burn more calories. So although zone 2 burns more fat, it burns less calories. And this could also be why zone 5 can be too much of a good thing, because you kind of will burn yourself out by depleting so many calories. So again, it's okay for if we've had like Saturdays are pretty heavy, intense days, feed the machine afterwards. Don't feel bad. Don't try to starve or, do a fast after a heavy kettlebell day, because you actually do need to kind of feed the machine after you've depleted it from so many calories. And then examples of our zone 5 are our swings, 100 swings in 10 minutes, cleans, which we did a little bit of, snatches, which we did the first round. We're not probably going to be doing snatching here now. And then the compound finishers, which are death by kettlebells or armor builder, or the push-up, and swing ladder that we did on, that's what we're doing on Saturday. Push pressing, which we'll get to, and jerks, which we may or may not get to this round. The other thing, zone 5 will be your sprints. So bike or track, hill sprints. Just like if you go to a track, you can walk the curve and try to speed walk or jog, sprint, fast jog or fast run through the straightaways. Now, if you don't have to worry about zone 5 now, because I have it all programmed for you, but after the program is over, this is how you would program your own zone 5 intervals. You want to think about 1 minute or a 1 to 2 ratio. So in this example, it's 1 minute on, 2 minutes of an active rest. So if we were doing, let's do kettlebell swings, 1 minute of kettlebell swings, you'll do 2 minutes of just kind of walking back and forth, trying to catch your breath, get back down to your baseline heart rate as much as possible. Then you'll do another minute of kettlebell swings, 2 minutes of that active rest, and you'll do as many intervals as you can. Once that becomes easy, you decrease your active rest. So you go from a 1 to a 1.5 ratio. So 1 minute of swings, 1.5 minutes of that active rest. Then you drop down to a 1 to 1. So 1 minute of swings, 1 minute of rest. And then you're going to graduate to 1 to a half. So meaning 1 minute on, 30 seconds rest. And that's how you'll decrease or actually increase your capacity, your work capacity for zone 5 intervals. And that is it on this one. So not much different. I just did want to just talk about how zone 2, how you guys, or how all of you feel about zone 2 training, and what you think. And I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other. Anyone?
Well, I like zone 2. I walk a lot, so I get maybe like I walk to work 10 minutes and then 10 minutes back, but then I go for a walk. I try to get zone 5, but I don't probably get it in very often at all, except for on my hike this past week.
Well, with your swings, you're getting it though.
Right, but I mean like outside of it, like
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose the Peloton, but I have not been on there lately, so.
Yeah. And the Peloton, that's good for like anything, like the interval trainings of zone 4,
Mm,
you know what I mean? And like
Right.
doing zone 2, they do 7 zones. So when they're talking about, when they're talking about their zones, it's actually different than the heart rate zones. That's like a power output zone.
Right, okay.
So their zone 2 is actually probably our zone 3.
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes more sense now.
yeah. So I don't worry about that, but
Okay.
that was just a kind of an aside. Yeah, I have definitely dropped off on my walking too, so I need to get back to it.
I feel like it's the weather. It's like, it's that, Nancy, you probably don't have this right now, but it's dark early, dark late, and it's just chilly. Like, it's
Yeah.
just getting cold.
Did you see it's supposed to be 90 degrees tomorrow here?
What the what?
No.
Yeah, I
I just saw mid-70s on the news before.
mid-70s tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my weather app says 90 degrees tomorrow. I keep like getting it to refresh because I didn't travel anywhere.
excited
It
about
doesn't think I'm anywhere else but home. So, I don't know. It's not saying that now. That is weird. Something happened to my phone earlier. It must have thought I was in Phoenix. I don't know.
Right, it does look like the weather will be better this week, so that I was planning on doing more walking again, so.
Yeah. Anything else, Sheila? You want to add anything?
I still am having trouble getting my walks in because I'm lazy. Um,
Well, no, I don't want you to say that. I mean, it's not lazy. It's that we got to change our language because then you're bad mouthing yourself. You know
yeah,
what I
I guess it's more that I'm tired at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like after work. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to find the motivation to do it then.
Yeah, I get it. But at least like I'm still super proud of you because you're the first person I see every morning getting your workout in.
Yeah, at least I got that, except for Saturday. Then I did Saturdays on Sunday and then Sunday also.
I saw that. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Saturday was a busy day.
Are you moving your garage gym to the basement this week?
I don't know if it'll be this week or next week.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
And that might help me too, moving the stuff in from outside. And now we have more room in the basement. We just got rid of the pool table today.
Oh, nice.
So now we have more room for our stuff in the basement.
Yeah, that's cool. That will
Yeah.
help. That'll give you more space. You can put the mat down and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Amber, how about you in zone 2? What do you think?
I think, hold on, I took notes before so I like zone 2 because I can talk there. Oh, yeah, no, hold on. It's pretty dark, isn't it? Sorry. I am on the East Coast, so it is starting to get dark. I have a light here. Oh, that's bright. So sorry I turned my camera off because I was walking my dog. And I didn't want to interrupt. I was at the lake and it was really pretty, but I didn't want to interrupt the class. And I didn't want to be a distraction. What's that?
I said you should have, so you could show us the view.
I can show you from my sunroom. So I had to feed my dog and walk her because I worked a little bit later than I thought I was going to today. So, so yes, here's my lake.
Ooh,
Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah. So I took her out just a bit ago, but and then I got a good walk in. I was taking notes in the beginning and then I realized she was gonna poop in my house if I didn't.
Priorities.
But yeah, no, I'm still learning like what zone I'm in. So this was a very helpful class for me because I don't really always know what I'm doing. I'm just doing like the workouts, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not all, but I did buy a Garmin, and I think I started tracking my sleep and all the activities like right on day 1 of a week ago. So that's been nice.
That's good.
See how I don't sleep.
Yeah.
But,
Common. So does it
yeah.
get your heart rate then?
It does. It does heart. So I have the Garmin Active. So it does heart rate monitor. It's like the kind of sleep I take. And then my steps, and then it like gives me goals for every day. So it's been good. I think either the day or day before we started, my watch is fairly new. So it's been good to monitor that as I am working.
Yeah, so you're gonna do 220 minus your age, and then you'll do the 65 to 75% of that max heart rate to figure out what.
180.
Yeah,
So
where.
170% of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so you'll do 220 minus your age, right?
180 is the
Okay.
answer.
Okay, and then you'll do a range. So 65 times 180 is 117. And then we'll do 180 times 0.75. That's 135. So your range for zone 2 will be like 115 to 135.
Okay.
Not the most accurate way, but it's just a decent way to kind of gauge where your heart rate is and where
And that's the
your
goal
zone.
for zone 2 is that heart rate.
Yeah,
Okay.
your goal for zone 2 is to stay in that range. But I think the best way for you to just gauge your intensity is just by your breath. Like, do you have a hard time breathing in and out through your nose? Do you want to open up your mouth? If you like want to open up your mouth, but you have to force yourself to keep your mouth closed, then that's perfect. Then you know you're right there. If you can't really speak that much, if you can't say more than a sentence, then you know you're probably a little bit too much.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, that's just a non-tech way to gauge it.
So I do have a question about sleep. So I took, when I was camping this weekend, it was for like it was like a veteran and active duty thing. So they were doing classes throughout the weekend, and one of them was on sleep. And so I don't know if this is true or if you've heard this, but I was gonna try it this week. Heat exposure 2 hours before bed and magnesium were two things that came out of like that sleep class that things I've never done or tried. So are either of those good, bad? Like I'm not.
So they're saying take a hot shower or like a sauna.
Yeah. So all they said was heat exposure 2 hours before bed, and I'm like an average 5-hour sleeper, and like I can't sleep more than that, and I don't always sleep good for 5 hours. I do like the Garmin scores me like every morning. It gives me my sleep score, so I'm like I pretty much get D's every day. But like, but I did notice like when I slept in the cold, because I camped up this weekend. My with the same 5 hours and like 17 minutes, like I scored so much higher because it was restful sleep.
Oh, nice.
So it says to sleep in like cold, like a cold bed or a cold mattress or a cold room, but to higher heat exposure. So I don't know if that's something you've heard or.
I have not heard that, but I guess try it. So what my research showed me, and I do talk about it in the sleep section, is that you should take a cool shower before you go to bed. Cool to cold shower, because it's actually bringing down your internal temperature so that you can sleep, because we do sleep better when the room temperature is a little bit chilled, because our body temperature rising is actually what wakes us up in the night or in the early morning. But I would try it. I would definitely, because I say this all the time, like there's all these studies that show all this stuff, but we're all a study of one. And some, like Laura exercises at night, and we hear all these studies like, don't exercise at night, it's not gonna help, you won't be able to sleep. And she finds the complete opposite for herself. So Like, yeah, and try the magnesium. I've tried it myself. It doesn't help me, but
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's not going to help you. So if you want, should we do sleep and recovery next week?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So Amber, you said 2 hours before bedtime?
Yeah, that's what I,
You
and
should
so
talk to Rebecca because, she does her cold plunge in the morning. And
Yeah.
I think she's got one of those little tiny
Yeah.
sauna things. And I think she does that at night. I'm sure she doesn't do it right before she goes to bed, but you might want to ask her that.
Okay, yeah, I will. I did buy a sauna like when all the gyms closed and stuff, like during COVID. And it's not like it's not like a Rebecca sauna. It's just pretty much like sleeping bag. Like hers looks really cool. Like my hope is to have something that nice one day. But it's pretty much a sleeping bag that heats up. It does the same thing as if I were to walk into a sauna. But it's nice because it's mobile, and it was a really good buy on Amazon.
How were you using it then before?
Yeah.
Yeah, would you use it?
Yeah. So I'll use that like tonight, 2 hours before I go to bed. I'll sit in it for 15 minutes and then it just makes me sweat. And then I'll probably do a cold shower. Like, I think I'll try the heat this week and then the cold next week, but I'll keep my room cold. Like they had said to, make sure the room is cool.
Yeah, right. I actually started putting my phone in the bathroom,
Mhm.
and I think that, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but my deep sleep and my REM sleep have all increased since I've done that.
Nice.
I don't know. But I still, like, I'm sleeping next to George and his phone is on his side. So I don't know, like, it's just one body away, and I don't know. I don't know if that
Well,
really.
maybe just mentally knowing that it's not right there is relaxing you. You know what I mean?
No, because I never, like, I'm not really concerned about my phone. I don't look at it. I have it
Right.
on Do Not Disturb and everything after 7. So I don't know. It was just really weird that as soon as I started keeping it in the bathroom,
Hmm.
my sleep score, or my REM and my deep sleep, like, have gone up consistently too. Like,
Wow.
I've had this ring for like 3 months now, and I had never gotten out of the red with the deep and the REM. And then all of a sudden, like, I like the very first day I had really deep sleep, and I'm like, where the heck did that come from? And then I did it again, and the score is just way better now. So I don't know.
Hmm.
We'll see.
So how are you waking up then? Do you have an actual alarm clock?
No, well, the bathroom is like 3 steps from me. So
Okay.
I have to get out of bed. But to be fair, I didn't, I wake up when George wakes up, because he gets up at 6:30. So I just get up at 6:30 with him. But now that I took that gym job, I've got early morning classes on Mondays and Wednesdays. So now I'm back to waking up at 5:15. So, but it's okay because this commute is 10 minutes. It was actually like less than 10 minutes down the road. So it was super nice. So, yeah. So, all right, we'll do sleep and recovery next week. And then hopefully, we'll all sleep better after that. But I don't know.
If because I have the ring on also, like you do.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And when I look at when you go into the sleep part of it, and it talks about REM and deep and light and all that, but also how long it takes you to fall asleep, and restlessness. I have never been out of the red in the 6 weeks that I've had the ring on, because I think I toss and turn a lot. So, I don't know if you have any information about those other categories, but it would be really interesting to figure out why and how to stop those things from happening.
Yeah,
How do you fall asleep?
So I did notice that when my REM and my deep got better this past, this has only been a week, so it could totally change, and it probably will after I open up my mouth right now about it. But my restlessness has gone down with the increased REM and deep. So yeah, I don't know. We might all have to take our phones out of our bedrooms. I'm not sure. Keep you posted. All right, anybody have anything else? Anything they want to add? What's up with the do you guys have a Sheila and Sharon, do you have a you know
No, it's the stupid Fitbit. It tells you you're
Okay.
on the elliptical.
Thank you. Laura
Yeah.
knows exactly what I'm saying.
Because it does it to
Yeah.
me sometimes too when I'm
Yeah.
walking. Like
Yeah, it
Sharon,
thinks
it
you're
keeps
on
telling that you're
elliptical.
on the elliptical.
Yeah.
When you're
then I
walking?
changed it in the Fitbits for walking, and
Yeah.
it doesn't change it back in Zenber.
Yeah.
That is so weird because I keep seeing these elliptical workouts and I'm like, I know they don't have an elliptical. What's
Oh,
going
I
on
saw
here?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sheila thinks
Because I think
swing my
even
arms when I walk.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you
you
swing your
do.
arms. Yeah. But
That's
Laura,
true.
didn't you have an elliptical one show up too recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when I was like, there's no way she's on an elliptical.
No, I am not.
All right, stop swinging your arms so much. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
My hands in my pocket. There you go.
No, you don't want to do that. You do actually need that natural swing with your arms because then otherwise your back will start hurting. All right. All right, thank you for showing up today. And let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. I'm going to stop the recording somehow. I don't know how.